Hi friends, my name is Megan. Thanks for watching my video. I'm coming to this a little bit late today, a few days late actually. I'm hearing from a lot of people right now that the season feels very tight this year, that they don't feel like they've had quite enough time. I experienced this myself. Thanksgiving was a little bit on the later side this year, so there was sort of that feeling of Thanksgiving being over and then being thrust right into December. I was sick the entire first week of December, and really the kind of sickness where I was kind of just out for a few days. And then I was traveling for the second week of December. So I got back on December 15th and looked around and thought, what is even going on? We are into this month and Christmas is now just a few days away. And I know this is a feeling that quite reasonably comes up this time of year. Like we have so much to do, so much we have to do, and not enough time to do it. And I also think this is the kind of feeling that can, for me, just be under the surface all the time. Like I have so many things that I want to do, have to do, think maybe I should do, dream about doing, and just not enough time to do it. This time of year, I think this feeling becomes very concentrated and intense, but for a lot of us, it's there at a low level all year round. So this is something I have contended with throughout my entire adult life, especially since becoming a mom. And it's something I'm still grappling with. So this message for you, you don't have to do so much, is like me saying it to myself right now, because I need the reminder, even though I've come a long, long way as an adult person, as a mother, all of these things. I still sometimes have to be reminded that actually I don't have to do so much. So you can consider this a gentle reminder for you and also for me. So I have kind of a complicated history with productivity. And I want to talk about this a little bit because I think it does matter how we perceive ourselves. If we perceive ourselves as productive people or busy people. So, something you might not know about me is that I was a really terrible student in junior high and high school. Hit seventh or eighth grade, really hit an academic wall, just couldn't keep up with my work, couldn't stay organized. My executive functioning, not great. I know today there's a lot of talk around ADHD in midlife women, and women may be realizing, like, oh, my brain kind of works a little bit differently. I'm a little wary about self diagnosing things like this, but I'll just say that a lot of what I see is sort of the classic ADHD tendencies were there for me. But being a young mom really helped kick something into place in my brain. And I think what I kind of started to realize is that I'm very out of sight, out of mind. So if something is put away in a drawer or left in a backpack, I used to always leave my stuff in my backpack overnight and then wonder why my homework didn't magically get done. I realized that having things in front of me and sort of staying active so that I could touch everything and see everything helped me stay on top of things. So there was a lot of what I consider active management. It would just be things like going into the kitchen a lot so that the kitchen doesn't get overwhelmingly messy, or picking things up as soon as they fell on the floor so that it didn't become a huge pile and overwhelm me. And over time, I came up with all kinds of workarounds that helped me keep my physical space pretty neat and tidy and helped me keep my work life pretty neat and tidy. Now, I say that, and other people might look at the state of my inbox or my desktop and be like, what are you talking about? That's anything but neat and tidy. But I'll just say, for my brain, the workarounds have worked. And one of the workarounds, like I said, has been just staying really busy, just staying on top of things, staying really active. And part of that has been having a lot to do. I've found that when I have a lot of things going on, it somehow helps me stay in this mode where I'm switching between things and not forgetting about any of those things. That's the positive side of having a busy and productive minded brain. Because what I found was that when I started to see myself as a productive person, as a busy person, as a competent person, it kind of gave me this little lift that I think helped me find a lot of success in places like my career and other things that I've done. I've been a very well rounded person in that I've tried a lot of different things, I've juggled a lot of different things. And that's kind of been a through line of my adult life while having a lot of kids, right? So I'm not sure I would say I've done a bang up job at everything I've done, but I've stayed on top of it enough. And for a long time, that was part of my identity. And that was a thing I was able to draw pride from, was just this idea that you could throw anything at me and I could handle it. So a lot of the things that I do as a self-employed, self-motivated, driven person don't necessarily have set deadlines attached. So I became pretty adept at creating my own framework. So I might say things like, I'm going to do this podcast and it's going to come out on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Because what that does is help me sort of maintain my own schedule and my own rhythm. And I think that's a great strategy. It's worked really well for me. The problem can become that sometimes I mix up my internal deadlines, the things I've told myself I'm going to do, and it starts to feel like a thing other people are imposing on me, even though nobody is. I don't actually think anybody cares if I have a video that comes out exactly on a Wednesday or a podcast episode that comes out exactly on the 15th of that month. If you were that person who was waiting breathlessly, then I really appreciate that about you. I'm sorry. And also I appreciate you. But for the most part, I don't think so. I've been actually getting messages from people lately telling me they love my work and they feel bad that they can't keep up with the amount of content I'm putting out. So I think that for most people, for most of us, I know for myself, it's actually the opposite problem. I'm not waiting breathlessly for more stuff to come to me. I'm waiting for a moment of white space in my life, a little bit of margin where I can breathe and consume the stuff I actually want to, the things that have come my way that are like piling up in a feed or an inbox. So, perfect example of doing too much or trying to do too much. I started recording this morning, and at one point, I had to pause and I moved my mic, and then I was rushing to get this done before I had to run out for an appointment. And I wound up moving my mic and not putting it back in front of me. So I recorded about 10 minutes where my microphone was 3 feet away from me, which doesn't really work. So just kind of an immediate reminder for me that when I move too fast and I try to fit too much in, I end up making it harder for myself because I make little mistakes or I have little inefficiencies built in. So just a reminder, it's several hours later now, and the snow that you can see outside my window has melted quite a bit because it's been raining all afternoon. And for me, the tendency usually is that I can keep up pretty well when everything is going smoothly. And so I don't really register how much extra is on my plate until something happens, like I get sick or an unexpected visitor arrives or I hurt myself or it's a holiday. And then I just realize I can't pile one more thing on. I have no margin. And even as someone who has worked really hard to be intentional about the way I use my time, to slow down some of that productive all the time mentality and to just really be intentional about my life, it still creeps up on me. Maybe this can be a gentle reminder for both of us, even if it seems like we shouldn't need the reminder. I mean, I know there's a million articles out there and videos about how moms take on too much during the holidays, especially. We know this logically, but I think sometimes we don't know what it feels like in our bodies to be doing too much. And I also don't think we necessarily feel like we can let go of anything because everything might seem either necessary or, in my case, fun. I really like to have a lot going on. I have a lot of creative energy. And so sometimes when I'm in the throes of that, it's really hard for me to recognize this thing I have opted to do as maybe unnecessary. It's kind of like throwing a dinner party where you really want to make 7 different dishes because it sounds really fun and you want to show your friends and family a great time. And so you make all of these different dishes and you put them out on the table. And the result is that everyone is too stuffed to actually enjoy what's out there. That's how I feel about this tendency toward overproduction, especially this time of year. And I'm just trying to get better at recognizing when I'm moving into that territory in different aspects of my life, in different seasons of my year, so that I can kind of head it off at the pass and not feel like I have to just keep showing up for something over and over because it's some obligation I created for myself, or maybe because I think other people really want it. I do think that there is a definite point at which doing for other people stops being appreciated, stops being fun for them, stops even being something they're able to keep up with or consume, and starts to feel like a burden or just more on their plate. So that's definitely it. But there's us too. There's our energy and our ability to keep showing up for things in our life that are really important or that we really want to give focused time and attention to. And sometimes those things aren't obvious. Sometimes we can't even see them because our list of things to do has become so monumental. Our productivity is keeping us moving and busy, and we don't even have time to stop and think, what do I really want to be doing right now? I mentioned this recently where I was talking about, clearing the decks. What does that look like? Like I have shared, a lot of this is personality type. I'm someone who likes to stay on the move, and maybe you're like that too, if not in all aspects of your life. But I always think this time of year is such a great opportunity to just take a step back and ask myself, is that working right now? Are there things I can let go of? Are there things that maybe felt really important 6 months ago or a year ago, or that I was really excited about that now, not so much? Are there things I'm continuing to do because I think someone else might expect that of me? And maybe that's not the case. All just really helpful things to look at this time of year without judgment. I'm not mad at myself about this or beating myself up. This is just a part of who I am, but this is also a great opportunity to just ask myself, am I doing too much? And then remind myself, I don't have to do so much. And when I ask myself those questions, am I doing too much? What are some things I could let go of? There are always some things I hold on to because they are important, or because they are where I want to put my energy right now, or because they're things that matter to other people. I just think reminding myself I don't have to do so much is a really helpful place to start, just to give myself permission that I don't actually have to do every single thing that's on my list just because it's on my list. And so when I start to get panicky because I haven't released a video lately, or my podcast is a few days late, or I don't have all my Christmas presents purchased and wrapped yet, or I haven't worked on my novel lately, or I haven't made a good dinner for the family lately, whatever the thing is, I can just remind myself, I don't have to do so much. We don't have to do so much. And once I've accepted that, it then allows me to take the next step, which is saying, okay, well, if I don't have to do so much, what is it I can let go of right now? I hear from people all the time who say they've been following me for years, sometimes decades, through different platforms, blogging, podcasting, video, social media, all of these different places. And what I love the most about that and appreciate so much is that people have really just gone along for the ride. I know there are people who consider themselves primarily readers or primarily listeners or whatever it is, but there's also this loyal group of people who are just willing to go along with whatever crazy shenanigans I get up to. And I love that. I appreciate that so much. It gives me so much creative freedom and just overall freedom. I've heard from multiple people lately who've said, just thank you for creating, even if I can't watch or don't want to watch everything that you do, or listen to everything you do, or read everything that you write. I just appreciate that you're out there creating. It's important. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It truly makes the work I do fun, but it also makes it possible to keep going. I also wanted to let you know that this will be my last video for a while. I'm going to take some time to regroup going into 2026 and decide what's next. I'd really like to experiment with some longer form storytelling, maybe some more visuals and scenes of like what my life and my surroundings are like. And I just need to get a little more comfortable and a little more skilled with that kind of storytelling before I can start putting out a lot of that kind of content. So stay tuned in 2026 for that. And I will be continuing to put out my monthly journal episodes. Those are for paying subscribers on Substack. So those are longer, almost magazine style episodes where I talk about what's going on in my life, in my home. I share resources and recipes. They are really meant to be a slow, immersive, cozy seasonal experience. I love making them. And from what I've heard, you all love listening to them and reading them. So I'm definitely going to continue making those. They come out on the first of the month, and those are for paying subscribers to my Substack at meganfrancis.substack.com. Okay, friends, that is all from me today, and the last time I'll be seeing you before next year. So I hope the holiday is just exactly what you need it to be, as full as you need it to be, as slow as you need it to be. And just remember, if you get overwhelmed by this season or any season of life, just remind yourself, I probably don't need to do so much, and just see how that feels and maybe what kind of space it might create for new possibilities. Okay, friends, have such a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next year.